Hey there, you purpose driven go getters, you awesome coaches, consultants, and service based online entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Collaboration Chronicles, from coffee chat to cash flow. This is the podcast and show where we spill the tea on collaborations and, of course, virtual events that actually grow your business. I'm Katie Sewick, entrepreneur coach, event strategist, and collaboration expert, and of course, your guide to building connections that truly matter. Whether you're here to brainstorm your next virtual event, listen up about other collaborations, or you just want to simply hear from these awesome, inspiring entrepreneurs who are making waves, you are in the right place. So grab your coffee or wine, I don't judge, and let's dive in, because magic happens when we stop going it alone and we start building together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Collaboration Chronicles, from coffee chat to cash flows. I'm super stoked today because I have someone in the house that I just think is incredible in the online space when it comes to coaches, consultants, course creators, service-based entrepreneurs. We need people like this guy in our corner. So this is Norbert Orlewicz. So thank you, Norbert, for being here. Why don't we start with just a little bit about who you are? That would obviously be a good place to start, and then I'll start asking you a bunch of questions.
Yeah, for sure. And I will keep it short because there's a lot to this story. I got started in the online space around 2006 in affiliate marketing. And so I've just been through the gamut of online marketing. And our big breakthrough was when we launched our own, I would say, a digital education or membership platform in 2008, myself and a couple of partners. And we were focusing on a specific niche in the network marketing space. And we built out a membership site, community, training portal, teaching network marketers how to leverage the internet, which at that time was a brand new thing in that industry. We launched that company on a shoestring budget with very little experience, very little capital. I myself have no formal business or marketing training. I am a theater school dropout and a snowboard bun. That's my story. And I'm completely self-taught, and I am a product of this industry. I learned everything that I learned through courses, through workshops, through events, through mentors and coaches, and obviously inside the trenches as well, just doing it myself. And so we ran that company for, 16, 17 years. I lose track of the time now, 15 years or so. We had a lot of success, served almost 138,000 customers from all around the world, did about $60 million of revenue, selling everything from digital courses, obviously a membership site. We built community, mentorship, live events, workshops, virtual events, retreats, you name it. We did it, we sold it, and we had a really amazing time building community and really running that business. And recently we transitioned in the last 2 years. We wanted to step out of that niche and focus more broadly in the digital mentorship space, because that's how we got our success, is through the digital mentorship model. And so now we teach coaches, course creators, expert speakers, authors to build their own education and mentorship business through digitalmentors.com. So that's the story in a nutshell.
It's so perfect having you here today, because this is called the Collaboration Chronicles. And I've really discovered, especially in the last 2-3 years, that collaboration is the ticket to really excelling in business. And I was so fortunate because I did 7 summits. And in the course of doing 7 summits, typically you meet this person who knows this person who knows this person, and so on and so forth. So I had been talking to, I believe it was Yolanda, one of your former clients, and he introduced me to you. And it's amazing. And I just really want to reiterate this point, because when we go it alone, it's very lonely at the top. Like, I have to say, it's so lonely. And I have discovered through doing summits, obviously going in a slightly different direction with them, but what they have done for me is connect to meet people like Norbert. And from meeting Norbert, I had him come along on my summit twice, but we developed a bit of a friendship and a business relationship outside of that as well, when we worked together to do a trial of one with you. But I have to say, for those of you that watch this, seriously, networking, getting to know people, especially the people that share your values, that are really aligned with what you're here to do and what your passion and really want to support you, it makes all the difference. And I'll just go ahead and share. We were going to interview yesterday, Norbert, and I was having a day. I was a little bit of a mess, and it just wasn't going to be a good few days of canceling. I just said, hey, any chance you could just hold the bucket for me in a set? And he did. And we just simply rescheduled today. And it was super helpful having you there. Collaborations are the boss. So definitely surround yourself with incredible people like Norbert. And the reason I'm so excited that he's here today is because I've been working with Norbert in the last little while. And because I was doing summits and I was doing them well, I also didn't necessarily believe in them anymore because I was finding that the process, what worked 5 years ago, isn't working anymore. Not in this anymore, in my mind. And Norbert and I experimented a little bit with his event. I experimented with another event. And then we realized that the thing that I love is virtual events in general, creating live experiences where you get to know people, you get to connect with people, you get to build that know, like, and trust factor. And what better example of someone to come onto this show than Norbert? Because that's how you built your business. I want to hear a little bit more about how you did that.
One of the lessons that we learned about the company that we built and the reason why we're building this company very differently with a different strategy and structure. With that company, we were 3 guys that had no formal business or marketing experience.
Right.
So we duct taped that company together, right? Like, we learned as we went, we figured it out, and we made a lot of mistakes along the way, which we obviously learned from. 15 years, you're going to learn a few things. The collaboration aspect of it, this is huge for me. And I was actually just going down this rabbit hole last night and I spent some time, I was going to even write a post about it. The whole concept of solopreneurship is, I was thinking about this last night, is probably one of the most destructive ideas for entrepreneurs. The whole idea that you can go it alone, the whole idea that you can build this one person business or show, I think is one of the dumbest ideas that we have gone behind and we have supported. I think that's where I came to yesterday. Because when I look at all of the success that I've had, it's always a result of collaboration. I've always done it with other people. And even if you look at some of the most successful, what we think of as self-made men or individual entrepreneurs, none of them have made it on their own. It's always been in collaboration one way or another with teams of people or other individuals or other brains. The truth of the matter is that we simply do not have all of the skills, talents, abilities, knowledge to be able to successfully grow a company. Period. End of story. Full stop. You need to bring in other people with other skill sets, with other areas of expertise and experience to be able to fill in all the gaps of what a successful, sustainable, profitable business requires. One person can never, ever do it alone. Okay. So at some point, you've got to collaborate. For me, I've been lucky. I've had some awesome partners. I've also had all of the bad partner experiences as well. We just came out of a situation where one of our partners embezzled money. Let's just put it right out there. That's the big fear that everybody has. I don't want to get into partnership because somebody's going to steal my money. Yeah, that's a risk that you're going to take. And at the same time, we're not going to just throw out all the benefits that could happen because of collaboration. But there's so many different ways to collaborate. You don't have to have partnerships. You don't have to start a company together. And you look at some of the biggest successful personal brands online, you look at YouTube creators, social media influencers, collaborations, collabs are a core part of their business. You look at any of the big names out there, they all collaborated with other big names, right? I always use the story early, and only old school internet marketers will know about this, but I talk about the syndicate. And the syndicate was an early group of big internet marketing gurus, the Frank Kerns, and I can't remember who was all in it. It was like Frank Kern and Brendan Bouchard. And I don't know, there's a bunch of guys in the syndicate. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. And one of the reasons they became so successful and they took over the whole market is because they literally got together and planned out their launches for each of their products for the year. And then they would cross promote each other's $2,000 offer launches. Right. And then they talk about how much money and how much success they had. They never share that part of the story.
Right.
Okay. And that's what we need to understand, is that there's other things going on behind the scenes. And most of it has to do with collaboration, collaborating in one way or another, leveraging each other's skills, talents, and abilities. Like on our team right now, the four partners, we've got four partners in our business, which brings up its own challenges because everyone's got their own ideas. But my God, the different areas of expertise that each of us have, which allows us to have the freedom to really just focus on the thing that we do so well, right? The fact that
Right.
Ryan is so exceptional when it comes to conversations and sales, and he can completely handle that part of the business. I don't even have to worry about sales. I just need to show up and be the amazing coach that I am, because that's my gift, is my training
Yeah.
and my ability, my ability to speak and be on camera. So I just fulfill that part. He takes care of the sales, right? Jim takes care of his role. Jess takes care of his role. And it's incredible when you can find that.
Totally.
Start anywhere with collaborations. And that's, one of the things that we've got to talk about and explore here, right?
Yeah, and I would add that when you do go it alone, I wonder how many people up and quit before the dream can really grow fruit, because you get into your own head about things, right? And you start believing there's something wrong with you. But the truth of the matter is, you are not God. This last I checked. So you really need the people who are gifted at the things that you're not. Like, I'm sorry, when it comes to certain things, if I don't bring someone else in, I'm going to bury myself. And so I love that you say that.
Yeah.
So
How amazing is it just to have somebody else's outside perspective and feedback and input,
totally.
right? Because when you're inside a certain project or a certain work for too long, you just get blinded to what you're seeing. And it's, hey, can I get an outside perspective? That's why I find coaching so easy. I need to do is listen and be present with my client. And I can always spot 100 different things that they're not doing, that they're not looking at, that they haven't considered. And I can always offer some type of a suggestion that's going to help them get over the problem or the challenge or the hurdle that they're currently dealing with.
100%. And you being able to really stand in those gifts is a gift to people. I know, being on the receiving end of that, you're just able to look at the problem and very simply break it down and make it make sense. Whereas when you're in the woods and you're lost, you can't tell what's north and what's south, right? I love that about you. Now, what things that you and I discussed yesterday, and you said it in a way, and I'm going to share it here because I'm like, that is so true. You were saying so many times when you look at websites for coaches, you notice that, or consultants, whatever, you notice that there's some information about them. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. Book a call. There's this immediate go on a date with me without even knowing who I am or what I stand for. I want to talk about that a little bit in terms of where virtual events come in, because that's something I'm very passionate about, and you've been supporting me with that, and I know you're on the same page as me. Tell me a little bit about what you guys did for the time and what's working so well for you.
So I'll start by just sharing with you the biggest oversight I feel that most coaches, consultants, experts, authors, whatever, you're trying to grow your business online, the least understood element of marketing, I think, by most people, and if you could just understand this one thing, then everything will start to make sense, is understanding the customer journey. So this is a really basic, fundamental marketing 101 concept, the 5 steps of the customer journey. And the full 5 steps, I believe, is awareness, attention, consideration, acquisition. And then after acquisition, there's a couple of other steps, which is the fulfillment, the service, and then building loyalty and gaining referrals or having affiliate partners or something like that then promote you. I focus, when we're talking about marketing, client acquisition, I just focus on those first 3 steps. So let's break down marketing into 3 steps. Literally, this is all internet marketing comes down to 3 steps. And if we can understand this and grasp this, then we understand that all we're trying to do is move a prospect, move a human being, a person through these 3 stages of our conversation with them. And it's a conversation, whether it's a virtual conversation, a recorded conversation, sales funnels, copy, written, whatever, it's still a conversation that you're having with another human being. And those 3 stages are awareness, consideration, and an acquisition. We used to call this the 3 steps marketing process, which was build audience. That's the first step. Get the attention and build a following, build an audience. That's building an email list. That's building a social media following, building a Facebook group, wherever you want to build an audience. The second is consideration. That is where they are considering doing business with you, and you are qualifying them for interest. So this is know and trust. This is build relationship. This is establish authority and credibility. This is deliver value. All of that, whenever we talk about those things, doing content, doing virtual events, it's in that consideration phase, because they're now at a stage, you got their attention, you got their interest, they're aware of who you are. Now we have to move them into the next layer of conversation, which is that consideration conversation. And this is where virtual events excel. And we can talk about that. There's really only 3 different types of consideration assets that you want to create. You want to create one of these at least to get started. I believe virtual events are the most effective, and we can talk about why that is. And then we move them to the actual acquisition. That is where you ask for the sale and you collect the money. And for most coaches in this example, for most coaches, especially if you're selling a higher priced offer, it's going to be a Zoom call. It's going to be a one-on-one call. Can you sell on a webinar, workshop, virtual event? Yes, you absolutely can. It does require a little bit of skill development in that area. Yep. Higher conversion is always going to be on a one-on-one call. So if you're just getting started out and your volume, how many leads you're generating is low, always go for the highest converting tactic, which in this case would be a one-on-one call, but you move them through that virtual event. And my God, virtual events have been key intrinsic to the majority of the $60 million in revenue that we've generated. Hands down, 100%, right? Mm-hmm. So when we started MLSP back in 2008, one of the core things that allowed us to grow as fast and as successful as we did was every single Wednesday with our famous weekly Wednesday webinar. Every Wednesday we showed up starting in September of 2008. Every Wednesday we showed up for 15 years doing a Wednesday webinar. We got to a point at our peak, at our height, we had 1,000 to 2,000, sometimes 3,000 people on these webinars, on these Zooms. That gave us a platform to be able to build up other people, to promote other people, also to bring on incredible speakers. It's what allowed us to have people like Pat Flynn, Mike Dillard, Dr. Joe Dispenza at our events, because we were able to create that audience. And the only way we were able to do that was through virtual events. Now with this company, when we launched this company about 1.5 years ago now, virtual events was one of our key strategies. And to this date, I would say about 90 to 95% of our revenue, of all our client acquisition, has come through our virtual event. And here's the other cool thing about it. You don't need to fill up these virtual events with hundreds of people. We literally, and you've been on a couple of these workshops, we've literally had some workshops with 4 or 5 people on them.
Totally.
But with our numbers, we are able to convert. We know that if we can get 4 to 5 people on a workshop, we will get at least 1 client out of that, if not 2. Right? So this is the power of virtual events. This is why you want to consider, if you're not doing it right now, you've got to do it. You mentioned the coaches with the book a call, right? That's thing was really popular in paid strategy, paid marketing. For the last few years, there's been a lot of gurus and marketers and trainers that are promoting this book a call funnel, going really heavy on it. And we can talk about the pros and cons of it, but you have to be really good in sales. And if you're running paid traffic on that, there's a lot of risk, because it can cost anywhere from $100 to $400 to $600 per call, per booked call. So then you better be able to convert on those calls. Otherwise, you're going to be throwing out a lot of money and then potentially risking it, because if you're not converting on the book calls. So there's much smarter ways to do paid advertising than these book a calls. But then I see coaches all the time. Like, I'm on LinkedIn a lot and I see a lot of coaches. The majority of coaches, what do? Their whole call to action is book a call on their website, on their LinkedIn. They DM people and they're like, hey, just schedule a call, just book a call. And who's got time for a call with somebody that I don't even know if you can help me at this point? Give me something a little lower commitment. And that's where we think about that customer journey, right? That consideration step. Allow me to consider doing business with you without such a big commitment. When you think about the people that you follow, the people that you look up to, why do you look up to them? Why do you follow them? And you might think about big brands, big personal brands out there like Brene Brown, right? Or who wrote Atomic Habits, right? Or Brendan Bouchard, right? You think about these big names. Why do you follow them? Because they put out a lot of content that you consume.
That's true. And I think there's an illusion out there. Maybe it's just me. Feel free to correct me. There's an illusion out there that I just need to post more. I just need to show up more and I will be the next Mel Robbins. But forgetting that you're actually seeing the top of the iceberg. There's all the stuff underneath. And when you're talking a lot about this, I can't help but think my experience over the last few years has been people are getting away from this whole go to a sales page and buy the thing. Unless you're Mel Robbins, of course. But otherwise, it's a relationship thing now. People are looking to be connected to people that they trust. I give my money to someone that I don't truly know cares about me or cares about my outcome, right?
And that's the key. And you brought up a really great thing. And this is why everybody thinks I just need to post content. Okay. Because I see all these big brands and I see these social media influencers and these coaches, and they're telling me you have to post content. You got to be active on social media. Some of them are telling you got to be active on multiple social media platforms. And so we think that content is the solution. But what problem are you trying to solve? Because that's the key. Why are you posting content? Because are you trying to solve the problem that you don't have a big enough audience and you want to grow a large following like Mel Robbins? Or are you trying to solve the problem that you don't have enough clients and you want to get clients and cash flow? What's the more important problem for you? Because I would probably venture to say that you would rather have more clients than a larger audience. Okay. And if you want more clients in the shorter term, then content marketing isn't necessarily the best answer for you. The best answer is moving people through a sales process. And you'll notice that I'm not using the word sales funnel. I'm not using the word sales funnel because I don't want you to think that it's a website funnel, like a one click away Russell Brunson funnel. Yes, those are great. Those work. I love Russell Brunson. Everything he teaches is amazing. And you don't even need a website to enroll a client. But you need to move people through the customer process, through the customer journey. So how does posting content move them through the customer journey? Okay. It doesn't strategically. It's a hope strategy. I hope they consume enough of my content so that at some point they're going to want to book a call with me. Okay.
And isn't the conversion rate from social media, I believe it was like 1% or something?
It's minuscule. So I've got a perfect example of this. Okay. We know now running our webinar for the last year or so, we've got it down to a science. We know what the numbers are. We know that if we can get 4 attendees on a webinar, one of our workshops, we get 1 client out of that, at least on average. Okay.
Wow.
I recently did a funnel where I was selling a $5 book and I was acquiring customers, pretty much break even. I was losing a little bit of money on the funnel, but I had to go through, and I didn't have a great follow-up process because I was really just testing the front end. But on the back end, I was selling a higher priced offer to make the profit. And it was basically like a strategy session that I was selling on the back end just to test out the whole process. I needed to get 55 customers to get one of those back end sales. So it's a question of volume, right? If you can, yes, a lead magnet is great. Yes, a digital course is great. Yes, a membership site is great as an introductory offer to move people, to introduce them before they buy your coaching program or something like that. But you need to be able to fill that. You need to be able to have the volume, drive enough volume. You need to have enough people download your lead magnet. You need to have enough people to purchase your mini course to get those sales on the back end. With a virtual event, if you do it in our case, we need 4 people to get 1 high paying client. And we're talking about a $6,000 client here, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the conversion rates between everything that you could do as a consideration asset, there's no question a virtual event is going to be the highest converting other than getting on a one-on-one call. But we already said that not everyone is ready to get on a one-on-one call. Okay.
It's true.
Now, obviously virtual events have their own pros and cons. You have to fill that event. But like I said, you don't even need 20 or 30 people on an event. You can do private, intimate, 4, 5, 6, 7 attendees and still be growing your business. And then obviously just focus on growing that attendance.
And what I love about your workshop, having attended, I believe 2 times, it was, as you said, dialed in, perfect science, if that's a thing. And what I love about it is it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So you really, I think you said you originally started out with a much longer one, didn't you?
Yeah. Our original one, we started with a workshop and it was 6 hours because I like to teach.
Yes, and no, you do. Okay. Live and learn, right?
We cut it.
We
We cut that one down to 3 hours. And then we came up with a new concept that we were able to deliver in 90 minutes. And so that's the one that we settled on and just been improving that process. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. So really, I think that ultimately what it comes down to is how do you, it's funny when I think about virtual events because I've done a number of different types of things and there's always a science behind it. But one of the things I talk about a lot, and you're really good at this piece, is being super clear about who you want to invite to your event so that you can be clear about the problem you're solving for them, so that you can be clear about the offer that you're making. And I think a lot of people think if I just throw an event, all of a sudden all these people are going to come and then I'm going to be, build it and they'll come kind of thing. Yeah, what would you say about that? Like when you guys put your stuff out, you nailed it down, but how do you do it in such a way that you're attracting ideal clients?
Yeah. So this comes back to that like whole clarity on messaging. And this is the number one problem. If you're a coach, digital course creator, expert author, and you're under $5,000 to $10,000 a month and you don't have consistent client acquisition, chances are, like from what I've seen, 95% chance your messaging is off. You haven't identified your ideal perfect client. You haven't specified your niche within your greater market, right? So you're just competing with everybody as a life coach or an executive coach or a relationship coach. You haven't niched down and figured out like, what's my USP? Where can I excel? What's my little niche within the bigger market? So you got to clarify those things first, because that allows you to create a more compelling message for your ideal perfect client. And this is a big challenge for coaches, because coaches are taught that they, especially ICF, like certified coaches, because you're taught that you're a coach, not a mentor. You're taught not to tell people what to do, but to find out what they need and help them get their own answer. And that works really well for coaches, right? As a coach. Yes, I totally agree with that. But that's the worst thing you could do for marketing. Absolute worst thing you could do for marketing. Because then you approach your marketing from the perspective of, I can help anybody with all of their problems. Just come to me and tell me what your problems are, and I'll adjust my advice to help you with your problems. That is the worst marketing you could possibly do. With marketing, like the secret to all marketing is right message to market match. So you need to identify the perfect ideal client and then speak specifically to what they are experiencing so you can build that emotional connection. If you're trying to speak to everyone, it's impossible to create an emotional connection. Impossible. Because you can't see everybody's situation. So there's 3 things you got to clarify for your workshop, for your live event, for your webinar or your challenge, or really for any offer that you want to put out into the marketplace, whether it's a lead magnet or a coaching offer. You want to clarify, who is this for? Who is the ideal perfect client? What is the core problem that I'm solving? There might be multiple problems off of that core problem, but you got to identify that core problem. And what is the clear outcome that they will gain? If you cannot clearly articulate that, and that's just a matter of communication and articulation, but you have to be able to clearly articulate. That's what creates an irresistible offer. That's what pulls somebody in. When you are absolutely clear on what this workshop is for, who is it for, what problem do you solve, what outcome do you deliver? When you get those 3 things down, then you build your marketing message around that, your landing page, your copy. And the cool thing is with AI, when you can give it those specific details, then AI can actually write pretty good, compelling copy, much better than what most people without copywriting training could have written before.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to note is there will be a link in the show notes here for you to join one of Digital Mentors workshops, because Norbert beautifully goes through those steps in this process. And it blew my mind, quite frankly. So I'm just throwing that in there as just because if you want to do virtual events and you don't have that stuff down first, the event, it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. I've done everything the wrong way. So I'm telling you, I think I spent 12 years doing that whole, I'm a coach. I want to help you feel empowered. I want to help you feel confident. I don't know. And it was the struggle bus for sure. Where were you back then? Or you were in a different space?
Yeah, we were in a different space, right? So that's,
clearly. Yeah. Okay. Everyone, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share with us, if you could host a virtual event, what would you want to do? There are obviously webinars, masterclasses, workshops, challenges, and of course, virtual summits and everything in between. So I'm always curious to know, when you think about that, if you could think of it like, if I wanted to get to know people, I'd invite them to a party. I'd invite them over. I would obviously not invite people that don't align with me. I would invite people that I know would find value. And it's much the same thing, but you want to make sure that the event is to serve them, and you're thinking from their perspective, not yours.
Yeah.
I think that's really important too.
Yeah. And I think the big question that a lot of people will have, or the big false belief or misconception that they have, is I'm not ready for a virtual event.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big one. And I would really challenge you why you think that, right?
Yes.
Especially if you're a coach. Because if you're a coach or course creator, or you have some kind of expertise that you want to share with other people, then obviously you have some level of expertise and confidence and conviction in what you do and how you deliver it and what you do, right?
Totally.
If you don't, you probably shouldn't be in this space, right? If you have that expertise and you have value to offer to people, why wouldn't you want to share that with others? Because that's all you're doing in a virtual event. And it's not like it needs to be some sales presentation. That's one of the things that you'll notice with our webinar. Like I mentioned Russell Brunson, big fan of Russell Brunson, right? He is a very much a marketer's marketer. Like he comes from the digital marketer space, sales funnels, conversions, numbers, metrics, marketing. I'm a marketer, but I'm first and foremost more of a trainer and an educator. That's really where my expertise is. I don't hard sell. I don't know how to hard sell. I can't hard sell. It's just not who I am.
It's not.
When you come to our webinar, the workshop where we bring all of our revenue through, there is no pitch at the end. We don't pitch our product at the end. We introduce our incubator program. We share some of our client success stories, and we simply invite people to have a call with Brian. We don't talk about the price. We don't do a big value stack. We don't follow any of the webinar sales formula for our workshop at all. We just teach, we share value. We have a very specific outcome that we deliver in the workshop. And then we build a relationship with people. We build trust. And then we invite people to have a call with Brian to take the next step. It's simple. It's comfortable. It's fun. It's enjoyable. We meet. That's all it is. It's just a comfortable Zoom conversation. There's no pressure. Like I don't prepare. I don't do like Tony Robbins, pump myself up at the beginning. I roll down to my to my office here in the basement. I pour myself a cup of coffee. I sit down in front of the Zoom and I just do my webinar and workshop and I chat with people. It's super comfortable. So you can do this model. You can do this event without sales experience, without any like specific formula. You don't need to be NLP trained. Just show up like your authentic self, like you actually care about the people on the other side of the call, and just serve them with the expertise that you have. But be clear about who you're serving and how you're serving them, what outcome you're trying to deliver in the workshop. If you can have that, and if you can do that, and you have the confidence in what you do, you should be doing virtual events. Because if you're not, you're missing out on building relationships that are going to turn into clients.
And I want to touch on real quick before we wrap up. You had mentioned before, even if you don't feel ready, I know one of the things that people say is, I don't feel like I quite have all my ducks in a row, or my messaging is not quite solid. But the thing is, what's so fascinating to me is I did 7 summits. Even on the 7th summit, I still wasn't dialed in. I'm telling you. But each time I got a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I wouldn't recommend taking that long or that many summits to figure it out. However, there's nothing like getting in there and doing it messy and doing it anyway that will help you get clear, right? So I think that there's value in that for sure.
But maybe this is for the people that spent too much time in academia, for those of you that went to university and college, right? But you get ingrained, I think, from school, from academia, that there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. There's a right answer and a wrong answer. And you have to get your degree and you have to get these things in order and in place before you can put yourself out into the market. You need your certifications. You need all of these things. That kind of worked back. Like that was, sorry guys, but that was like the past. We're in 5.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't even need human beings anymore to make money. I was just showing Katie an example of a podcast and she was like, wow, that's really good. And I'm like, yeah, those are not even human beings. That's just AI right there having a podcast conversation. Okay. We're in a new world, guys. It's 2025. You got to drop some of these old archaic beliefs. And I'm 48. I grew up in the 80s. We got to drop some of these old ideas that we have about who we need to be, what qualifications or certifications we need, what ducks we need in a row. Like when you say ducks in a row, I'm like, what ducks? Not your expertise, who you want to serve. get out there and start doing it, because you're going to learn so much more through the practice and through the act of doing than sitting on your computer trying to figure it all out in your head. I'm telling you, what's in your head is wrong. Get out into the market, start talking to people, get feedback, build relationships. That's where you're going to learn how to optimize and improve your marketing and your funnels and your acquisition process.
I don't think you could have said it any better. Like, it's so true. Typically, the biggest problem in this armor space with business is ourselves and the way we think.
Yeah.
And so having someone like Norm in your corner is gold, because he pulled me out very quickly, and I want that for everyone. So in the show notes, I will include the link. Every Wednesday, Norbert does a fantastic workshop, and my contact information is there. If you do want to discuss virtual events and what's possible for you, let's hop on a call. Yeah. I also do workshops. So don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to go on a date before you have a chance to get to know me. Thank you all for being here. I'm so glad you joined me, Norbert. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
My pleasure.